Welcome to Tibbers Den, everyone. My name is Whitney, and welcome to today's speed build. If you haven't already seen Monday's video, definitely check it out. I will leave it linked in the description below, as well as at the end of this video. But basically, we created the stereotypical golden boy and his family, and so today we are doing the build for them. And I knew I wanted them in San Myshuno, and I knew I wanted them in a penthouse. And originally I was going to put them in the fashion district in that penthouse because I really like that spot. And I thought it would be perfect for these guys. But it really didn't make sense for them to live in the fashion district. His dad is the CEO of an investment firm, and so it made more sense to have him in the financial district, and that's why I ended up going with this penthouse. But I really struggled with this build. One, this was my first apartment that I've done, and two, I think this lifestyle and the wealth and privilege is so far removed from anything I know that making sure I was doing the right aesthetic and getting all the little key points in there was really hard for me. But overall, I do like how it turned out. I'm pretty pleased with it. You guys will definitely have to let me know if you think I did a good job, or what other things you might have included or changed or anything like that. Let me know in the comments below. But up here, the layout pretty much stays the same. And part of it, I was trying to do the floor plan first before I placed anything, and I just wasted a lot of time doing that. This upper portion pretty much stays the same. I have the parents' bedrooms down to the lower left and their ensuite, and then to the lower right I have a home office and then a hallway bathroom, which I do actually end up extending into the upper right bedroom because that's the oldest child's room, the golden boy, Grayson. And so I figured he maybe would have fought with his parents to get his own bathroom, like he didn't want to share with his little brother. And then to the left you have the little brother's room, and so he obviously uses the hallway bathroom as his bathroom. But that pretty much stays the same. I kind of mess with the staircase a little bit, but the downstairs section and this middle section I changed so much. I did leave the original thought process I had in this video, as you can see, just because I kind of wanted you guys to get an idea of my original thought process and where I was going. And really, if I could change any of the outdoor walls, I would have either had them enter on the lower level and make that like a living room area, or I would have moved the deck down to the lower level, because I really would have liked to have the deck on the same level as the pool. But to me, the entryway, it makes more sense to enter into the main living space, so like a little living room and kitchen and dining room area. It didn't make sense to me to have them enter in any other space, and so the deck isn't anywhere near the pool. And I do end up closing the area where the hot tub is. I end up closing that off because I needed more space on that level. And so I closed that off and I moved the hot tub down to the pool area. But because you can't fully change anything and I couldn't close off the deck, I ended up keeping that. And so they do have a little bar and seating area in that section. I do move like the seating area where the bar is now, and then the bar along the wall that I end up adding to close it off. And so it's just a little smaller area, and I figure originally I wanted a place the kids might come and hang out, but for me, once I had to change it, I think it's more of an area where the parents, if they have friends that they're fairly close and comfortable with and kind of have more of a casual relationship, they might sit out there with those types of friends and have a couple drinks, things like that, where most of their entertaining would be with more acquaintances and they're not necessarily true friends. And so they would just have like dinner parties and such, so they would entertain like in the dining room area and things like that. And so originally the kitchen was pretty small, and it didn't fit for what I was going for, and so I ended up, like I said, completely changing this area here. Everything I'm doing here ends up getting scrapped, but I do move the dining room table down and extend the kitchen a little bit, and then I put like a little theater area and a living room in this corner I'm working on right now. But it was so frustrating. Like this was probably the build I've struggled with the most by far. Like just aesthetic wise and trying to get, the right feel for it, since they are very privileged and well off, and then also just layout wise, like I had a hard time because there were so many aspects I knew I wanted to put in here, that I really struggled. And they have the tall walls, which I didn't like. I tried to make them smaller, but it wouldn't let me. And so there's a lot of dead space on the walls, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, because I think the family would maybe be pretty minimalist. I don't think they would have a lot of personal touches other than like the boys in their own rooms. I don't think the mom would be like a big decorator or have a lot of personal touches around the place. And so there's some like more fancy art pieces, but there's not like a lot of clutter filling up the space either. I think, she might have hired like an interior designer or something like that. So, and now you can see the struggle to get the staircases begins. And so I'm adjusting the lower floor, and originally I was going to go like this, but then I still didn't like the kitchen area and how small it was and how small the entryway was, how tight. And so it just, because I think originally I was going to go, so the dining room, and then I was going to put a living room in that area right there, but it just wasn't working. So that's why I ended up having to scrap everything on the deck area and then close that off. And so I had an area on that side for a living room. And again, if you could change windows, I would have changed some of the windows up as well. And so there was more wall space to maybe do a living room, because I knew I wanted a wall mounted TV, but with the curtains and such, it wasn't working to put them in front of a window. So I don't know. It was kind of a pain in the butt, but I think I did an okay job with what I came up with. And the kitchen I do pretty much keep the same, but I extend it out. But the base of what I already have, I keep the same. And so you can see here, I'm moving everything down to the pool area and deleting everything so I can close it off and make the floor plan make a little more sense. But it was so frustrating. I am glad this build is done. Let's put it that way. Like, I'm happy with it, but I am glad it's done. My favorite area is probably either the younger son's room, Julian, or the butler's quarters. And I think just because I was able to relate a little bit more to them, and so it was a lot easier for me to create those spaces than it was like the parents or the main living room area. It was just so frustrating. So, but again, I'm pretty happy. And I do end up moving the bathroom forward, which I know I haven't done that yet, but I do move that forward and move the dining room back a little bit more even than what it was there. So, and now I'm just getting the little seating area and the little bar. So you can see I'm playing around with that. And I wanted to use the heaters out there as well, but it just didn't make sense since I had the fire pit table. So I do move one of the heaters over by the bar area, but I end up deleting the other heater and just putting like some plants. But like I said, not quite as big of an entertainment area as I originally wanted. But I think it still works, and for having a few close friends over and hanging out here, I think it does work. It's not like a big entertainment area that I was originally going for, but I don't know. It is what it is. I just, like I said, really, really wish you could change the walls and such in the apartments. Like, I mean, and I get like there's not a whole lot you can do with the walls, but I mean to not even be able to delete the windows or anything like that is just, I don't know, it doesn't make sense to me. And so you can see here I'm doing a little living room area in this space, but I do end up scrapping that as well and closing that off and making, like I said, a little home theater room, and then I put the living room area off of that because I didn't want the TV in front of the windows, but I really didn't like it in that little cubby hole where I put the little art piece there. I didn't like the TV there either, and so I ended up closing it off, and then I put the TV for like the theater room and then the TV for like the living room area. I put that on the wall that I created. Just so I can make it work. And then this bathroom, I kind of struggled with it as well because I wanted a big enough area in the hallway that it wasn't quite so cramped, but I wanted enough room in the bathroom too. So this is what I ended up coming up with. And originally I was going to try to put like a little bar area in here, but there wasn't enough room, so I put the little music. They might have some music playing, but I scrapped the bar area, and I don't keep that at all. It's just kind of a basic dining room, because it didn't look right to me, and I figured they had the bar outside, and you know, they wouldn't necessarily need that. I think I do put like, no, not in here. I don't. Do I? I can't remember. I know I put like the little world globe down a couple places, but I figured, they would have either caterers or the butler to be able to bring in drinks, so having that little bar area in there didn't really make sense. So I ended up scrapping that, and now I'm just putting down the rest of the kitchen, which, like I said, not a whole lot to change here. I pretty much kept it the same, and then I just put like a little area over here where I can put like a little espresso maker and an ice cream maker and, all the little bits and pieces that, anything they wanted, the butler could get them essentially. So, and then I did want to put this little table here. I don't figure they would eat there as a family. They would probably have pretty formal dinners, but maybe if the butler was on vacation or the parents were out of town or something like that, the kids might eat in there, or something like that. So I did want to put a little table in there as well. The butler has they end up with a female butler in her little living room area. She has like a little kitchenette, and a place to eat, so I don't think she would eat upstairs too often, but that might be a place for her to kind of sit and relax as she's prepping things for dinner and or something like that. So like I said, I did want to include that little table in there as well. And now the bathroom, pretty basic. I do end up moving the door over to where the sink is now, and then I put the sink there. I think. I'm trying to remember what I did. I'm fairly positive. I do. Okay. I know what I did. Sorry. It's been a couple days. I already forgot everything. No, I moved the door over to the middle hallway there, and then I moved the sink over to where the door is now because, like I said, I end up changing that and closing that off. And so for the living room area, I do put a little seating area in front of the windows, and it was too tight to have the door on that end, so I ended up moving it around. And so that way I could have a seating area and the little living room area all in one spot. And I put the little stereo over by the door, just because there wasn't as much room over there. And so I ended up moving that all around as well. So that's what I ended up doing. So, and of course now I gotta kind of redo my floor plan for the bottom floor since I messed up, and so the butler area is over there with his or her bathroom rather, and there is a laundry room in that bathroom, and then the pool and hot tub area, and I do a little sauna, and then I'm able to do a gym as well. But I did have to sacrifice the size of the pool, so I ended up with a smaller pool just so I can have the sauna and the hot tub as well. Because I really, really wanted a sauna in there, and so I had to sacrifice a little bit in order to do that. So, but I think it works fairly well. And then I do have like a little fridge and counter where I figure they might keep some snacks and some drinks, and so they're not if they're out down here hanging out with friends and whatnot, they're not having to call the butler every time they want something to drink or anything like that. The butler would probably keep that pretty well stocked. And I do the same thing up in the theater room. I put a little fridge and like a little popcorn maker. So as they're watching movies and such, they can kind of just help themselves to some drinks and some popcorn and things like that. So, and then the gym here, I ended up adjusting a little bit too. So I have the rock wall. I definitely wanted to include that, and I think I extend this out. Yeah, because there's that little open space with like a little hallway, and it wasn't necessary. So I do extend that out, and I have the rock wall, and it ended up putting 2 treadmills in front of the windows, and then I deleted the punching bag, and so I just have the weight machine and the 2 treadmills and the rock wall in the little gym area. I ended up scrapping the punching bag just because it was hard to get everything in there, and it took up a lot of room. It does take up a lot of space. And then this is like the guest bathroom, so if they're having friends over. Oh no, this is the butler's bathroom. Excuse me. Sorry, this is the butler's bathroom. I thought it was the guest bathroom because it's so big, but I made both bathrooms pretty big. And for his, I wanted his bathroom big because I knew I wanted the laundry area in here. He would be in charge of all the laundry, or she. Like I said, they end up getting a female butler, but she would be in charge of all the laundry and such. So I knew I wanted enough space to have a little laundry area in here, and plenty of counter space. So folding the clothes and such would work okay down here. And so this is kind of what I came up with. And then the guest bathroom down here is pretty big too. And like I said, and that's just because if they have friends over in the pool area, they would go change, and so there's like a little shower area. So if they're playing in the pool, they can shower afterwards and things like that. So I wanted it pretty big with plenty of space for like towels and whatnot. So when there's a bunch of guests, there's plenty of space for everything, and enough for each guest. So that's kind of what I was going for. And then, like I said, this bathroom down here is the butler's and laundry area, because he would need access to the laundry. And I thought about doing a little separate laundry area, but it just made more sense to go with what I did. And there, I thought about putting a wardrobe, but I wanted that little area for a kitchenette, and so I ended up just getting a little wardrobe, a standing wardrobe that's not built in or anything like that. But pretty happy. And so you can see there, I realized I don't need this hallway space because I have the doors out there, so there's no point in having that hallway, so I extended the gym. Just little things that you come across and think about. And then of course I had a little seating area for the butler as well, so that way they had their own little space, like a little mini apartment area. Of course everything's all together, and I put the smart speaker there because I figured that's maybe how they call them and let them know they need something, is they use the smart speaker. So and then of course the coffee pot and a little microwave, and then a little seating area. And then I figured dishes he could go in the bathroom and do, so I didn't worry about trying to fit a sink in there. And so now I'm in the guest bathroom, and so I made sure there was like a double sink, and maybe if the girls, if they had some girls over, they might be in there getting ready together or something like that. And then of course a little shower area so they could shower and wash like the chlorine and get ready to go out or something like that if they had friends over. So Pretty happy with those bathrooms downstairs for sure. Um, Pretty pleased with what I came up with, and I really do like the butler's area. Like I said, I think that was one of the easiest areas for me to create in this whole build. Them and the younger brother Julian's room. So um, I don't know. This build was gonna be the death of me, but I got it done. I'm pretty happy. And I was able to find curtains that actually worked in those tall windows, so that was a plus as well. Even though it's so frustrating. I think I put curtains in most places except for the gym, and I can't remember if I ended up putting them down in the pool area or not, or if I left that open. Uh, but and then I just put like a little seating area down here as well, and maybe like they have girls over and they're planning on going out or something, and the girls are getting ready. The boys might hang out there and as they're waiting for the girls to get finish getting ready or something like that. I don't know. I just needed to fill up the space, so I ended up putting a seating area. um, and now, of course, I'm getting ready to do the upstairs, and so this is when I decide that I wanted the older brother to have an ensuite bathroom. And unfortunately, the windows were giving me fits because I was kind of trying to make it even, but it just the window placement was a problem, and I do actually end up pulling the other bathroom because there wasn't enough room for a sink, so I do pull it into the study a little bit, which works just fine. And then this is the parents' bathroom, of course, and so I wanted a nice big tub along with a shower and whatnot. And then this is when I decide I really wanted a living room area and a home theater room, and so this is where I changed all this part around. Like a lot of changes. I just kept fiddling and fiddling and fiddling. It was really annoying, but like I said, I think I'm pretty happy with what I was able to come up with. So, and it works. It definitely works. Um, I mean, the living room area, like I said, is so small, but for them, I don't think they would spend a lot of time there anyway. So it made the most sense to sacrifice the space on that area than any of the other areas. So, and now I'm getting the home theater room set up, and pretty basic because there still wasn't a whole lot of space. Like I said, I would have liked like a bigger space, but the fact that they have it is nice. So, and like I said, originally probably when they moved in, that was all living room area, and then for the boys, they kind of maybe sacrificed that because they don't spend a whole lot of time in the living room, and so they probably sacrificed that for a home theater area, especially for the older boy. Like I said, he's pretty spoiled and gets whatever he wants. So I definitely think that's something they would have maybe renovated again when they moved in. It may not have started out like this, but they kind of tweaked it to their own specifications as they went along. Like I said, I don't know if I told you guys already, but the mom is a lawyer as well, so she's a private attorney. And then, like I said earlier, the dad is in investment banking. He's the CEO of an investment firm, so they're both like a power couple and work a lot. And then of course she doesn't wear a lot of makeup. She keeps it pretty simple, but she does have to look pretty well put together and such. So she has her own little vanity area and everything like that to get ready in the mornings. And then I do end up doing a walk-in closet through the bathroom here, or just on the other side of the bathroom, which I love. I've always wanted a walk-in closet. Ours is technically a walk-in closet, but not like this, where you could have like a little seating area in there and everything, and just kind of relax like it's its own whole room. But I'm like I said, pretty pleased with what I was able to come up with. Now I'm just putting down some of the beds and trying to figure out what I'm going for in here. And is it Get Famous stuff and the Vintage Glamour stuff, I think really came in handy in this build. I think I used quite a few items from both of those packs. to just try to get the right feel and whatnot. So it was it was hard, but and I do end up moving the little doorway over the archway to the other side there where the dresser is right now, and that's just because I ended up putting like a little seating area over there with a TV, and I do give them a globe, the bar globe up here is where I place the bar globe there, and then in the home office I place the bar globe so that way if he has a client over, he might have a drink with them or something like that. So I thought that was important to include, and then I wanted shelving, and so I ended up going with these shelves, with some hanging clothes as well. Like I said, if I had more space, I would have done a bigger walk-in closet. Like I would have fancied it up a lot more than I did, but I just didn't have the space to do that. So I don't know. There's a lot more I would have done with this if I could have tweaked more things around and had more space to work with. But I think that's just the downfalls of the apartment. So, and this is the first apartment that I've done in the game. I don't really play in the apartments a whole lot, so I haven't had to renovate them or anything like that. I think Newt, I don't know if any of you saw my Journey to Batu video, but Newt I do put in an apartment, but I haven't renovated it. And she's on this save file as well, so I do need to go and renovate hers still, but I just haven't done it yet because she's in Batu, so she's not even in this world. But of course I needed to place her down somewhere, so that's why I put her in Evergreen Harbor though, so but yeah, for my gameplay in previous times, I've always used the actual lots. I don't use the apartments. I think when I did, because I have a save file where I created my animals as Sims, so I created like my dogs as Sims and my cats as Sims, and I played my one dog. I made her as a teenager, so I ended up starting to play her, and they were in an apartment in the beginning, and I did renovate it a little bit just because I needed to add a room for her, because originally I think it was a one-room apartment, and I made it a two-room apartment, but past that, I didn't really change a whole lot in that apartment, so I didn't do anything to it really. But I did play in the apartment when I played her, and then she eventually moved out and into a house and such. So, because I made her, she's really friendly with one of my cats, and so I made the cat her caretaker, and they live together in an apartment. So, I think I put them in the Spice District though. That pretty cheap and not a lot of money. So, but that's the longest Let's Play I've done too. I've played her up until she's an elder, and then I had a bad storyline turn, and so I haven't played it since. But I was looking at screenshots earlier today, and I was like, oh, I should go back and play them, but I'm still kind of sour. And I could cheat the game, but I don't like to do that either. I figure if the game takes a turn, that's kind of part of the gameplay, and so I'll do cheats for certain things like building and such, but for actual gameplay, I don't like to do a whole lot of cheats if I can avoid it. So, but I'm still kind of sour about the turn it took. I'm like, but I had a lot of fun playing her, and it was fun because that save file I actually went through. I didn't create any of the builds or the characters. I downloaded them all from the gallery, but unless there was a character that wasn't on the gallery that I needed to create, like I think I did a bunch of like Saved by the Bell characters, and so a lot of those weren't on the gallery, so I had to create some of those. I think I was able to get Mario Lopez and then just tweak him to make him AC Slater, but I had to create a lot of those guys And past that, I downloaded most things, and I created a whole save file with all these fictional characters and such. And some actors and actresses that I grew up with, I put them in there as well. But she ended up marrying my dog. I mean, she was a sim. She wasn't a dog in the game, but she ended up marrying Ryan Gosling, and then they had kids. And then I was originally, once she passed as an elder, I was gonna play her daughter, but then that's the turn the game took. The daughter ended up freezing to death, and it just made me mad. And so, because at the time I was playing, because she had 4 kids, they had 4 kids together, and I was actually playing the youngest daughter at that time, and they had gotten together with her cousins. Well, actually, her nieces. They were the same age because she was a surprise baby. And so they were the same age, but they got together at like this teen hangout place in the ruins. And the older daughter ended up coming along, which I didn't invite her, but she ended up showing up. And I didn't know it, and I was playing them, and she ended up freezing to death, and I didn't even know it, because normally you can't leave or anything if there's a death on the lot. You can't leave, and so I don't know if I left right before she died or what happened, but she ended up freezing to death, and I didn't find out until I went back to go play her, and I was like, "Where is she?" And she was frozen to death. So I was very sour about that. I didn't like that turn of events, and so I haven't played it since. Because she, like I said, she was gonna be the sim I ended up playing after my one sim passed on, and so I was really frustrated like that, or about that. It just made me angry. But here, I'm doing the youngest son's room, and you can see I put a bunch of the pictures, like the old timey pictures, and like some of it looks like almost like a drawing of like a map and the ship and such, because I figure he would be really kind of into that kind of thing. And I thought about putting a painting easel, even though he's not much of a painter, but then I decided if I could fit in a photographer backdrop, I'd rather put that in there, and he might invite people over and do some photography with them, and take pictures and such. So that's what I ended up doing instead of the painting easel. So it's definitely a little tight in his room, but I think that's something he would definitely want to use and utilize, and I don't think his parents would have necessarily been willing to give him the space anywhere else in the apartment to use that, and so he kind of had to make it work in his own room. And now I'm working on the home office, and pretty basic in here. I don't figure they would work from home a whole lot. Like, he might invite clients over for a more casual setting, like if they're it's a client, but they're also kind of friends. He might invite them over for a more casual setting, and then might have a few drinks with them or something like that while they discuss business, but nothing over the top. And then she might utilize it on occasion if she's working on something, but nothing too crazy. But that's pretty much the build. Like I said, please let me know what you think in the comments below, how I did, and if I got the right aesthetic and vibe for wealthy and privileged. I'm definitely going to be doing more builds like this in the future, so any tips or tricks you guys have, or comments or insight that would help me out would be great. So definitely let me know, and I'm going to leave you here to enjoy the screenshots, and we will see you guys on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye.